Good morning, welcome all of you, Bande Matram. So, this morning, in the process of our Savitri summarization, we are going to have a great discussion on conquering death, victory over death. That is the topic of discussion right now. So, we are taking it from the Savitri, Book 7, Canto 2, the parable of the search for the soul, the parable of the search for the soul. That is a great topic we are going to discuss right now. The topic we are going to focus upon mostly on this: how to conquer over death, how to conquer death, victory over death. That is the topic of discussion. Sri Aurobindo gives three clues. Actually, this how to conquer over death. Number one is, thy nature shall be the engine of his works. First condition. Thy nature shall be the engine of his works, instrumental. Second, thy voice shall house the mightiness of his word. Second condition. Thy voice shall house the mightiness of his word. Then what will be the result? Then shalt thou harbor my force. Her force will be there in us, and so that we can conquer death. Again, I will try to quote it again. Thy nature shall be the engine of his works, thy voice shall house the mightiness of his word, then shalt thou harbor my force and conquer death. Anyway, this is a great topic, it is a great discussion. Of course, in this great morning, we are going to take the parable of the search for the soul, book 7, Canto 2. Sri Aurobindo, let us read a few lines. She sat staring at the dumb trade of time. She sat staring at the dumb trade of time and the approach of ever nearing fate. Fate is approaching, ever nearing fate. Then later we can go a little bit forward. There is a voice, and it is ringing to her ear. Why camest thou to this death-bound earth, this earth? Why camest thou to this great death-bound earth? This ignorant life beneath indifferent skies, ignorant life beneath the indifferent skies, tied like a sacrifice on the altar of time. O spirit, O immortality, energy, if it was to nurse a grief in a helpless heart, or with hard, tearless eyes, await thy dim doom. Then Savitri is making a good reply. My strength, not exactly good reply, that is a reply, that is a very confused reply, apprehensive reply. My strength is taken from me and given to death. Why should I lift my hands to the shut heavens? Heavens are shut. Why should I lift my hands? Or struggle with a mute, inevitable fate? Then again, that is a beautiful clarification we can find here. What need have I? What need has Satyavan? Because we can find to avoid the black mist net, the dismal door, or call a mightier light into life's closed room, a greater love into man's little world. This is actually very much confused, very much little, very much ruthless, very much dangerous. This world, packed with ignorance and all, struggling, suffering. So why should we strain? Then actually there is a reply. The voice replied, "Is this enough, O spirit? You have come. There is a mandate with you. You have come with a mission and vision. But you are simply trying to make a escape. So is this enough, O spirit? And what shall thy soul say when it wakes and knows the work was left undone for which it came? The work was left undone for which it came." Then we can find little bit. We can go little bit forward, and we see. My head bowed with shame before the eternal seat. His power kindled in thy body has failed. Just imagine, it is a good warning to everybody. You have come with a mandate, you have come with a mission and vision, you have been deputed. So you have come with that. The spark of the divine is well inside you, but actually you want to escape. His laborer returns, his task undone. It is not expected. Then the power within her answered to the still voice. She gets awakened. This is actually get is very much conscious and answering. I am thy power here charged with thy work. I am thy portion here charged with thy work, and speak to my depths, O great and deathless voice. Command, for I am here to do thy will. Then naturally there comes a good reply from the voice replies. Remember why thou camest, find out thy soul, recover thy hid self. Remember why thou camest. Remember means again and again many times you have come here. It is not the past approach for you. So in silence seek God's meaning in thy depths. Thy then mortal nature change to the divine. Open God's door, enter into his trance, cast thought from thee that nimble apple of light. Then we can find all these things. The three lines already we have quoted. Then thy nature shall be the engine of his works. Thy voice shall house the mightiness of his word. Then shalt thou harbor my face and conquer death. So later, after this voice in this conversation, what happens? Then Savitri by her doomed husband sat, still rigid in her golden motionless pose, a statue of the fire of the inner sun. Then she looked into herself and sought for her soul. It is nothing outward, nothing superficial, nothing on the surface. Everything is confined, and you have to go inside, deep inside. So anyway, whatever so far we have read, let us try to quote few, try to summarize. Then we'll go deep into the discussion. So this is the process of Savitri summarization. The parable of the search for the soul, book 7, canto 2. One night, as Savitri is sitting musing upon the approaching fate, fate is approaching, sitting, she is sitting musing, dhanasta, that is on meditation. A summons from the summits of her being, summons from the summit of her being came in a mighty voice. Her body becomes rigid and all grows still. She listens to the voice. That voice has already we have listened and described. Was it to nurse this grief and helplessly await thy doom, that thou camest to earth? This is not, and definitely this is not the aim and objective of your arrival, taking birth on this dangerous world. O spirit, O immortal energy, arise and conquer time and death. Savitri replies, my strength is taken from me and given to death. Why should I struggle with fate, and why should I strive to uplift the ignorant race that is satisfied with a lot and mocked at the striving saving light? Is there a God who can be moved by any cry? Is there a God who can be moved by any cry? He leaves man to the mercy of love and death. Why should I and Satyavan fight death? What necessary is there? Why not we pass through the night to the sun beyond? That's the escaping attitude. Then the voice is replying, is that enough, O spirit? What shall thy soul say when it wakes and realizes that the work for which it came, the soul, it has come, it has a purpose of arrival, remains undone? Was it for this thou camest on earth with a mandate from eternity? Nothing has been done. Are you going leave the old laws unchanged? It is not changed. You came for that purpose. Nothing has been done, and mission fails. You are coming. You are returning back. Shall there be no new world, no deliverance for man from unchanging fate? Naturally, something should be done, and you have come here, and now itself you are trying to escape. So, hast thou not come down to open the doors of fate and lead man to the wide and golden road of truth? That is the mandate. You have come to lead the fate of, to change, open the doors of fate and lead man to the wide and golden road of truth. Am I to confess the eternal that his power kindled in thee? Naturally, his power, his light is kindled inside me, has failed, and his laborer returns with her task unfulfilled. Returns with her task unfulfilled. Savitri's heart fails mute. She does not speak, and a power within her now answers. Savitri is remaining, keeping silent, and a power within the heart is making answer. I am thy portion here on earth. Command, I will do thy work. The voice replies. Remember why thou camest, find out thy soul, seek God's meaning in thy depths, change mortal nature into the divine. Open God's door and enter into communion with Him. That is what you have to do. And cast away thought and sense. Let His vast truth awake and see. Then shalt thou behold the eternity's body in the world. Meet Him everywhere. Thy heart shall be the beat in God. Then shalt thou embody my force and vanquish death. So this is the condition. The voice is actually giving us instruction, warning, and of course it is the indication. This is the only solution. Savitri continues to sit in her motionless poise, sat in muse already we have seen. She looks into herself and seeks for her soul. Then what happens really? There is a great cosmic change we can see. The cosmic past is revealed in her in a series of dream images. Cosmic past is revealed to her in a series of dream images. The first steps of creation, the soul embodying itself in the body. Matter slowly learning to think. Matter slowly learning to think. Space filled with seeds of life and the human creature being born in time. Space is filled with the seed of life and the human creature is being born in time. At first, a being appears out of the infinity not. At first, a being appears out of the infinity not. A consciousness looked out at the inconscient vast around. Pleasure and pain vibrate in an insensible void. Pleasure and pain vibrate in an insensible void. All looks like a motion of the blind world energy. All looks like a motion of blind world energy, working unconsciously shaping a universe out of veritable void. Everything seems to be unconscious. Everything is packed with that unconsciousness. Slowly, sensibilities gather round a poignant of pinpoint of ego that from inconscience and all. Slowly, the sensibilities are coming. A sentient creature finds its poise. Then, gradually, a formless consciousness appears. Inconscient, then formless consciousness is coming. Again, thoughts and feelings stir. A repetition from the habit. Habit gives the appearance of a permanence and a conscious being is built. Unconsciousness, semi-consciousness and a conscious being is built. Behind all our thoughts, hopes and dreams, behind all our thoughts and hopes and dreams, there is a conscious soul assenting to nature's act, conscious soul assenting to the nature's act, leaving the mind to function as its vice gerund. So thing is there is a emergence of consciousness, the elevation of consciousness. This mind is ever active, loosed about in the sea of time. Then buffeted by the waves of life, it knows no silence. Thoughts move in it in an endless stream. Thoughts move in it in an endless stream. The senses bring in reports from the outside every moment. Even in sleep, there is a rush of activity. Even in sleep, there is a rush of activity. Though of another kind, this is the little surface of man's life, but within him is locked a mysterious world. Within him is locked a mysterious world. Deep within lives a hidden king in the solitude of the spirit, a person of the God. So just imagine whatever we have summarized, we'll try to find a few lines, few glorious lines, golden lines from Savitri as he has described, of course quoted in his own language and own supramental lines we can feel. A dream disclosed to her the cosmic past. Then and later we saw she saw space peopled with the seeds of life. Already we have seen. She saw space peopled with the seeds of life and saw the human creature born in time. Then later we can find a formless surface consciousness awoke. A formless surface consciousness, already we have seen. A stream of thoughts and feelings came and went. Later we find a form of memories hardened and became a bright crust of habitual sense and thought, a seat of living personality and recurrent habits mimicked permanence. So from the unconsciousness, semi-consciousness, and we can find the permanence, fully consciousness. It felt a godhead in its fragile house. It saw blue heavens and dreamed immortality. There is a great emergence, great awakening. Then a conscious soul in an inconscient world. Just now we saw a conscious soul in an inconscient world, hidden behind our thoughts and hopes and dreams. So an indifferent master signing nature's acts leaves the vicegerent mind a seeming king. Vicegerent mind just we saw. He is a puppet of the dance of time. He is driven by the hours, the moments call, and compels him with the throngings of life's needs. Then we go little bit ahead. He mocks life steps in strange subconscient dreams. His might with thin air visions and dream forms. He packs our peoples with slight drifting steps. So we can go, man in the world's life works out the dreams of God. That is what. But all is here, there, even God's opposites. He is a little front of nature's works, a thinking outline of a cryptic force. All opposites, contraries. Man's house of life holds not the gods alone. There are occult shadows, there are tenebrous powers. Inhabitants of life's ominous nether rooms, a shadowy world, stupendous denizen. Man harbors dangerous forces in his house. Contrary opposites already we have seen. So later we can find the description in that. So in the course, but there came presences and awful shapes, tremendous forms and faces, mount dim steps, and stare at times into his living rooms. So later we can find some more beautiful descriptions as already seen. In nature's basement lodge, mind's passage feel, disrupt thoughts links and musing sequences, break through the soul stillness with a noise and a cry. Stillness of the soul there enters noise and cry. So, or they call the inhabitants of the abyss, invite the instincts of to forbidden joys. Then death and his hunters stalk a victim earth. Death and his hunters stalk a victim earth. The terrible angel smites at every door. An awful laughter mocks at the world's plan, and massacre and torture grim at heaven. So later we can find here in the quotes. Then a Manician creator and destroyer, this can abolish man, annul his world. But till then there is hope, definitely uncertainty. But there is a guardian power, there are hands that save, calm eyes divine regard the human sin. Anyway, we'll try to summarize a little bit, then we'll go and read about the present, past, future, the three in the scenario of the space and time. So let us go for this summarization. Steer in the quotes. Man is truly a little front of nature's action. Little front of nature's action. All the opposites in creation are there in him. All the creation's opposites are in him. He is the little front of nature's action. In his subconscious and unconscious regions, he harbors all these dangerous dark forces. Already you have to take care. Subconscious and unconscious, which at times rises up and besieges his conscious being. This evil nature is can even dislodge the soul that is the real owner of the house. Inside the real owner is soul, but these forces, evil nature, may dislodge the soul. Always there is a contrary of God to God, threatening God's creation. It is there. We have seen most of the times these titans are actually being threatening to the God's creation. But there is a grace that guides, hands that save, calm divine eyes regard this human sin. All the possibilities of the world wait in man as the tree in seed. There is a beautiful image we can see, beautiful comparison. All the possibilities of the world wait in man as the tree in its seed. His past, just now we are going to see, his past determines his future. His present acts shape his fate. already we are going to see the location, of course, formulation and accomplishment of progress of present, past, and future. Within him lies the gods and the demons that create the moods in which he grows. Our surface is aware of only a little, of it course. Very little we know, we console. A vast subliminal and a dim subconscient are there, overpowering in their range and force. Our past is never wholly dead. Something clings and drags back to our nature's forward stride. We live in the mind's dubious lights and know not the meaning and purpose of the world. So just imagine how this contrariety it is coming, dislodging and all present, past and the figures, configuration of the figure. That's what is beautifully clarified. Above in us the superconscience, inconscient, subconscient, then comes superconscience above us. Around us is the ignorance, below us is the inconscience. Above us superconscience, around us ignorance, below us the inconscience. But this is only the first awareness of the material world. This is not all that we are. On the summits again, on the summit of our being, beyond the thinking mind, our greater self of knowledge awaits. On the top, greater self of knowledge awaits. It is a surface light that shines in the truth conscious vast. Then, when the light descends from the superconscience from the top, when the light descends, Earth's life will turn divine. That is what, with the descent of this light and with the penetration into the inconscient's base heart, naturally there will come the everything. The life will turn divine. This is the real Godhead. Again, we find behind our surface exterior, there are greatnesses hidden in our unseen parts. So many parts that are unseen, and these greatnesses are hidden. They project their influences and urge us to move forward. Our soul in the secret chamber seeks for good. Our soul in its secret chamber seeks for good, beauty, and God. Three things: good, beauty, and God. There is an inner mind. Outer mind you forget, we see, and there is an inner mind that dwells in a larger light, and the inner self, life self, that gives the dynamism to soar in our summits. An inner and subtler physical self, inner mind, inner vital and physical, inner physical, subtle physical self, which is instinct with the truth sense of the of its own. So three things are there. What happens? There is a greatnesses hidden in our unseen parts. They project their influences to us to move forward. Our soul in its secret chamber seeks for good, beauty, and reality. Then after the surface comes the inner mind, inner vital, inner physical. Then we can find everything very good, very good, fine discussion. Inner mind that dwells in a larger light. Again, the inner life self. So what happens? Gives the dynamism to our soul, to our summit, and the inner subtle physical, which is instinct with the truth sense of the one. So that is a great description. So man was a fast creature to lift up the head. Fast creature to lift up the head, look towards and behold the friendly stars. He saw the unrealized vastnesses, and his secret aspiration found articulation. Slowly he grew in the vision and power and approached the ranges of the omniscient and omnipotent. He climbed the stairs of the evolution. He climbed the stairs of the evolution and saw the light of the special sun. At long last, man is able to ascend to his high source and reach his fount of immortality. From there, he calls the Godhead into his mortal life. So let us better, it is time to read few lines originally written by Sri Aurobindo, because that was the summarized portion. Now itself we are going to see. Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully, we have seen. Then we all the world's possibilities in man are waiting as the tree waits for its seed. His past lives in him, it drives his future's pace. Past lives in him, drives his future's pace. His present acts fashion his coming fate. The unborn gods hide in his house of life. Already we have seen. The diamonds of the unknown overshadow his mind, casting their dreams into live moods of thought. Again, his mind creates around him its universe. Then we go. The dim subconscient is his cavern base. Dim subconscient is his cavern base. Our past lives still in our unconscious selves. Past lives still in the unconscious selves. Then again we can find, and by the weight of its hidden influences is shaped our future self-discovery. Past influences the future self-discovery. Future self-discovering. Our dead past is around us, around our future clings. Our dead past round our future's ankles clings and drags back the new nature's glorious pride. So we will go little bit ahead and we will find the beautiful description letter. Then Sri Aurobindo comes little bit ahead and we can describe. The old rejected nature still survives. Old rejected nature still survives. Then all keeps a phantom immortality. Immortality, phantom immortality. Above us dwells the superconscious God, just we saw, we described, hidden in the mystery of his own light. Around us is a vast of ignorance, lit by the uncertain ray of human mind. Then below, above us is the superconscious God, superconscious God. Around us, vast of ignorance. Below us sleeps the inconscient, dark and mute. Then you can find only the matter's past self view, not all. There is our aspect of eternity. There is the figure of God we are. There is the figure of God we are really. Don't forget, don't try to be frightened. His young, unaging look on deathless things, his joy in our escape from death and type, his immortality and light and bliss. Then our larger being sits behind cryptic walls. There are greatnesses hidden in our unseen parts that wait their time to step into life's front. Then we find something. We seek beyond self's walls, our limitless our limitless self. We see beyond. We gaze through our walls glass at half seen bus, seen but not a fully seen, half seen bus. We hunt for the truth behind apparent things. Our inner mind dwells in a larger light. So after this surface comes the inner one we have seen. Our its brightness looks at us through hidden doors. Our members luminous grow and wisdom's face we see in the most of the discussions. Then man stood erect. Already we have seen. Man tried to look up to see. Stood erect. He was the thinker's bow. He looked at heaven and saw his comrade star. He aspired and housed the nascent demigod out of the dim recesses of the self. Already we have discussed. The occult seeker into the open came. Occult seeker, who is the seeker, occult into the open came. He heard the far and touched the intangible. He gazed into the future and the unseen. He used the powers earth instruments cannot use. So later we can find he stood alone on the high roof of things and saw the light of a supernal sun. This is the emergence, this is the elevation that we can find here. At last, at the last end of the far lines of divinity, he mounts by a frail thread to his high source. Through a frail thread to his high source, he reaches his fount of immortality. He calls the Godhead into his mortal life. Then we can find about the transformation towards the end part of the discussion. Earth must transform herself and equal heaven. Earth must transform herself and equal heaven, or heaven descend into earth's mortal state. Earth must transform herself and equal heaven, or heaven descend into earth's mortal state. That's what is it possible? Sometimes you claim, we also find how can it be possible. For such vast spiritual change to be, Sri Aurobindo quotes it, this transformation, this descent, earth and heaven in between them. This is a vast spiritual change. Out of the mystic oven in man's heart, the heavenly psyche must put off her veil. The heavenly psyche must put off her veil and step into common nature's crowded rooms and stand uncovered in that nature's front and rule its thoughts and fill the body and life. So this is has to happen. Everything, this transformation, heaven, life divine, everything, this the from the inmost cabin of my the self, the spirit, the psychic being has to come out, emerge out, and stand uncovered at the nature's front and rule its thoughts and feel the body and life. Then what happens finally? Obedient to a high command, she sat. Time, life, and death were passing incidents. Nothing were touching, nothing was binding. Obstructing with their transient view her sight that must break through and liberate the God. Sight must break through and liberate the God, imprisoned in the visionless mortal man. So it is imprisoned, it has to be liberated, and his sight must break through and liberate the God imprisoned in the visionless mortal man. The inferior nature born into ignorance still took too large a place, it veiled herself and must be pushed aside to find her soul. Nothing ignorance, no ignorance can, of course, cover it. So the soul must be uncovered and everything must be pushed aside, and the soul has to come into front. Anyway, within one or two lines, let us try to complete up this great discussion, great topic of discussion. That's what's here in the course here. And here in the course, all has been done by Savitri, by the spirit in her. A portion of the mighty mother comes into her. Portion of the mighty mother comes into her. She is made the center of the wide run scheme to move humanity into God's own shape. She, a portion of the mighty mother came into her. She is made the center of the wide run scheme, center of the wide run scheme to move humanity into God's own shape, to discover a new world and create one. Then this transformation already we have seen. Earth must transform herself and become the equal to heaven, or heaven must descend into earth. But for this transformation to be possible, the psychic being, the inner soul, must come out of the secrecy and step into the outer nature. Assume rulership over its domain of mind and life and body, for which the soul has really come. This mind and life and body, who are really the instruments, have been carried to this birth by the psychic being, and it has to be instrument, it has to obey the master, their psychic being or soul. Then Savitri sits obedient to the command from above. Obedient, being obedient, with all this obedience, she waits for this command from above. Her sight has to break through the veils of the inferior nature. Her sight has to break through the veils of the inferior nature and ignorance, which conceal herself and find herself within. So, this is the real scenario we can find. His sight has to break through the veils of the inferior nature. Definitely, because she has got the power, she has the vision, and she knows the path. And ignorance, nature, inferior nature and ignorance, which conceal herself. This inferior nature and ignorance, it actually conceals the true soul and find her soul finally. When it is pushed aside, this ignorance, this inferior nature is thrown outside, then naturally you can find the soul within. So this is naturally we can find the great discussion here, great topic, parable of the search for the soul. I think we are in a very clearly, very consciously we have gone through, and that is definitely will be bring a very much a real true change in your life. There is no doubt of it. Anyway, it is time to stop here. Vande Mataram.